Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatam Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. Hare Krishna. Okay, so this morning we have been told to discuss on this topic of pridelessness. So we'll try to discuss something on this topic. So first of all, let us try to understand what are the various causes of pride. Then we will discuss what could be the probable consequences of that. And finally, we'll discuss some solutions. So the first point is, so what are the causes of pride? So I suppose it's okay if we have a little interactive. Okay, so somebody could volunteer. So
Lord says in third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prakriti Kriyamanam Vankarmani Sarvasha Ahankara Karta.
So what is the cause of pride?
All these, what is happening is being done by this material mode of nature. We consider ourselves.
Okay, we consider ourselves to be the doers. Okay, fine, good. Okay, in ignorance we're thinking we're doing it. Okay, fine. Something else? Yes.
Thinking that all these qualities that we have is from ourselves, not realizing that.
Okay, not realizing that the qualities are not ours. Okay.
Identifying ourselves with the body.
Identifying ourselves with the body, right. So Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport to 15.5, Nirmana Moha Jita Sangha Dosha. There he explains that the root cause of pride is moha, ignorance. And there Srila Prabhupada explains that even though one comes into this material world for a short time, anybody knows how short it is?
2 millions of years.
So, of course, as far as one lifetime is concerned, nobody knows how many more years we have. So, at any point of time, life can come to an end. So, life could be very short, but yet one thinks that I am, as Prabhu said, I am the great doer, I can do wonderful things, I can do so many things. And one fails to understand one's very insignificant position in this world. And we find that everyone is trying their best to be the controllers and the enjoyers in this material world. Though material nature baffles the living entity at every step by giving so many different miseries, adhyatmic, adi bhautik, adi devik, so many different miseries material nature is constantly giving. But still one thinks, somehow I'll try to control. And all the modern day scientists, all their inventions and all their endeavors are basically to somehow counteract the effects of material nature. But how much ever one tries, what is one's success in trying to counteract material nature? Simply insignificant. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur told this story, maybe you've heard it, of what is the futility of these materialist scientists trying to counteract the effects of material nature. So he told the story of a rich frog. You heard the story of the rich frog? How many have heard? No? Okay. So once a frog got a 1 rupee coin. And when the frog got the 1 rupee coin, the frog thought, I'm the richest person in the world. And he was so proud. So he was walking on the road with his 1 rupee coin and declaring to the whole world, just see, I'm such a rich person. And as he was walking on the road, a huge elephant came from the opposite direction. So the frog was loudly crying out, shouting at the elephant, don't you see the richest person in the world is right here, get out of the way. So what is the elephant going to care about this small frog? So the elephant kept walking. And the frog kept raising his voice and saying, get out of the way. And the elephant kept walking. And when the elephant came very close, then the frog realized, oh, it seems my position is going to be very soon crushed. As he saw the huge legs of the elephant, the frog, the richest frog, became scared. And somehow the legs of the elephant missed the frog. And the frog thought, oh, I escaped, what a relief. But as the elephant went ahead, from behind came a huge quantity of excreta. So those who have been in Mayapur can see that. So it's almost like a huge boulder. So the huge excreta fell on the frog and submerged the richest frog in the world. So who's the frog compared to? Huh? Yes, the frog is compared to the proud materialist, and the elephant is compared to? Yes, material nature. So the materialists are trying to invent so many different ways to counteract the effects of material nature, but totally unsuccessful. As Prahlad Maharaj says in his prayers in the 7th canto of the Bhagavatam, dukkha aushadam api dukkham. So the remedies for the miseries sometimes become the causes for greater miseries. And Srila Prabhupada gives the example of the invention of the horseless carriage in the form of motor cars. And so yes, good way, easy way to travel. But then so many other miseries in the form of pollution, accidents, and traffic jams, no parking space. And I think so we are having sufficient experience of that right here in Vrindavan, right? With all the big vehicles, small vehicles, so many vehicles. And they're building so many flyovers to counteract, but then the flyovers simply become crawlovers. One can hardly move. So in this way, all the attempts of the material scientists to counteract the effects of material nature ultimately turn out to be simply futile. And ultimately, no one can counteract Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. That no one can counteract. But yet, we find that not understanding this reality of life, that I cannot overcome these miseries of material existence, not understanding that reality, one continues in one's attempts to try to counteract, to become the controller. When Srila Prabhupada went to Japan to negotiate with the Nippon company for the printing of his Bhagavad Gita, so Srila Prabhupada had a meeting with all the managers of the company, and after the meeting, all these managers left their visiting cards on the table, and they left. One young manager was still there, and so Srila Prabhupada began to speak to him. And Srila Prabhupada asked him, so what is the goal of your life? So this young man didn't say anything, but he demonstrated his goal through some powerful body language. So what he did, he collected all the visiting cards that were there on the table of the different managers. He took them in his hand, and then he took his own visiting card. So first he placed it below, and then he placed it on the top. Self-explanatory, right? So what's the goal of life? Yes. To somehow get to the top, be the topmost boss. That's the goal. So in this way, because of illusion, moha, one becomes proud of one's position, even though it is so insignificant. At any time, one's very existence in this world could end, but still one becomes proud. And usually, the pride comes when there is opulence. So any type of opulence becomes the cause of pride. As Kuntimana says, Janma, Aishwarya, Shruta, Shri, Edamana, Madha Puman, Madha. A person becomes sort of maddened with pride because of these opulences, because one thinks I am great. I have so many things, so many wonderful things. So then one cannot recognize Krishna, one cannot understand the need to take shelter of Krishna. Okay, fine. So let's, so 2 points I'll be combining, the causes, consequences, and then we will see some Shastric examples. Okay, fine. So what could be some of the consequences of this pride? Due to any of these opulences, whether it is due to high birth, or whether it is due to riches, wealth, or beauty, or material education. Any of these causes could be the cause of great pride. So what could be some of the consequences?
Impediment on self-realization.
How?
Because we are always enamored by all this false ego. So definitely we never introspect. Who am I? That's how like it will be always an impediment.
Okay, fine. So one fails to understand who am I. Okay, good. What else? Yeah. Mother.
Isolation.
Isolation.
Anyways, because one cannot make friends when one is proud. Cannot because people are lower, so cannot actually have proper relationships.
Right, very wonderful point. Thank you, Mataji. Yes, so one becomes sort of isolated, as they say, in one's ivory towers. So one becomes isolated because one thinks I am at the top and everyone else is below. Okay, good. What else? Yes.
Bhakti Maharani say, being puffed up of their opulences and position, they cannot address the Lord Shiva.
Yes, good point. So one cannot address the Lord feelingly, one cannot call out the holy names feelingly. Yes? Something else? Yes?
So whenever there is a little failure, they get depressed completely.
Okay, one gets depressed when there's failure. Okay. Why? Why only a proud person feels depressed?
Because all the time he has been so proud that
Mm-hmm.
he thought only success will be there all around him.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever the reality stuck him, he can't take it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay, fine. When because he's used to getting a lot of success. Okay, fine. Huh?
Actually, I recently read a quote from VIHE Prabhu. He said that when I'm envious, I think others are proud,
Mm-hmm.
and when I am proud, I think the others are envious of me.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are proud, we think everybody is my enemy.
Okay. When one is proud, one thinks others are enemies because they are out to get what I have. Okay, envy. Yes, good. I think the mother said something.
Just this that she was saying that depression comes from pride. One time I was hearing the definition of depression.
Mm.
The definition of depression is frustrated arrogance.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Interesting. Those who are proud or arrogant, she said, they are always trying to be at the top. And
Mm.
when something goes wrong, then for them it's like unbearable.
Right.
They become depressed.
Frustrated arrogance. Okay, due to frustration, then yes, this arrogance. Yes, mother.
Often to achieve the goal we want, out of that mada, madness, we are ready to do anything and everything, and thus we get implicated in certain illicit or sinful activities and reactions of those activities.
Mm.
And we just get actually degraded.
Okay.
Overrun.
Yes. So in order to achieve one's ends, one can perform sinful activities, wrong activities, and become degraded. Okay. Yes.
Also with pride, I think there is a certain amount of concealment which comes because what pride means when one tries to build a certain type of image for oneself,
Mm.
and so if there are some points which are not correct, one will hide them.
Mm.
Concealment will be there.
Right. So one wants to hypocrisy. Yes. Hypocrisy, deceitful nature, because one wants to maintain the status quo. One wants to maintain one's position. Right. So yes. So all this could be the various effects of pride, as Krishna speaks in the Bhagavad Gita, 16th chapter, 4th verse. He speaks about these different demoniac qualities: damba, darpa, abhimana, krodha, parushya, and ajnana. So it speaks about these 6 qualities of the Asuric people. So these are demoniac qualities, and Krishna has described what is the ultimate result of all these demoniac qualities. Then Srila Prabhupada writes, all these demoniac qualities are royal road to hell. So very beautiful roads. It's royal, very beautiful. You can go full speed. But where's the destination? Destination is hell. That is the result of these demoniac qualities. So, we find in the Shastra again and again so many different examples of how, when there is pride due to these opulences, then what are the consequences, what are the results. So, all these have been described. So, just like that's not even education, that's simply some craftsmanship. But he had knowledge of scriptures. So he was speaking on Puranas, Itihasas, he was speaking on these. And I'm sure most of us know the pastime. So he was lecturing to these thousands of sages at Naimisharanya. And as he was lecturing, who entered? Balramji. So Balramji entered, and all the sages stood up to offer respect, but Romaharshan continued to sit. So Balram, when he saw this, so he began to contemplate. So he was thinking to himself, such a great learned personality, direct disciple of? Yes, Vyasadeva himself. But still, he has no good qualities. Avinitasya. He doesn't have the vinit bhav. He doesn't have the humble attitudes. Two things he says, adantasya and avinitasya. Adantasya means uncontrolled mind and senses, and avinitasya, no humility. And so therefore, Lord Balram says, so Lord Balram said that, see, on one hand, he may have knowledge, but actually is born in a low family, Suta family. Suta family, that means somebody born from a Pratiloma marriage, considered to be of a lower caste. So on one hand, he is born from a low family, and in front of him are seated so many sages, rishis, brahmanas. And so the brahmanas stood up. So at least he should follow in the footsteps of the brahmanas. Nobody doesn't even follow the footsteps of the brahmanas. And so therefore, Lord Balram says that this person's learning is just like an actor playing his part on stage. That means his learning is so-called learning. And Lord Balram says, I have descended into this world to put an end to such hypocrites. And so thinking, Lord Balram, what he does? Picks up kusha grass. And he empowered the grass like a sword and just touched the grass to Romaharshan's neck and finished him. So Lord Balram, he wanted to establish this very important principle that with learning, true learning should result in the development of good qualities. Why? Because the more one realizes or more one actually understands one's own position and the position of the Supreme Lord, then one realizes one's own insignificant position in comparison to the Lord. Then one realizes Krishna is so great with unlimited qualities. And who am I? So insignificant. And so therefore, the real symptom of one who has advanced in spiritual knowledge is development of good qualities. Because as one progresses on the spiritual path, then there is more purification. So good qualities are naturally present in the soul, being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. But now all those good qualities are covered over by material contamination. So as one progresses, then the material contamination is supposed to get purified. And as one gets purified, then more and more of these natural good qualities of the soul begin to manifest. And so therefore, these qualities need to gradually manifest as one makes spiritual progress. And one of the important qualities that needs to manifest is pridelessness, lack of pride, and a manifestation of humility. This is what needs to manifest. Otherwise, one's religious practices, spiritual practices, will be considered to be hypocritical. And when people see hypocrisy, then they lose faith. They lose faith not only in that person, but they lose faith in the process itself. So, as far as devotees are concerned, devotees also may think, seems the process doesn't work. And the outside people will say, oh, these religionists, these spiritualists, they are supposed to be different from the outsiders, but we are not seeing any difference. So then why should I take the trouble of taking to the spiritual path, perform austerity and do all these things if there is no transformation? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada has written this beautiful statement in the purport to Bhagavad Gita, 8th chapter, 28th verse. Srila Prabhupada has written, the study of the Vedas is not meant for the recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. Very important statement, I'll repeat it. Study of the Vedas is not meant for recreation of armchair speculators, but for the formation of character. So armchair speculators means what? So sometimes we may find Vedantists and such learned people having conferences around a big table. They're sitting nicely in their luxurious armchairs, and they're discussing about Vedanta, Vedantic philosophy, and they're discussing, along with that, they have some chai, some tea, not herbal tea, and maybe also some cigarettes, and they're discussing Vedanta. So this is called what? Recreation of armchair speculators. So that is not study of Vedas. But the real study of the Vedas should lead to what? Formation of character. Otherwise, there are so many people who study the Vedas, who study the scriptures. There was one person who did a PhD in Jayadev Goswami's Gita Govind. So the Gita Govind is quite an exalted literature written by Jayadev Goswami. And this person did PhD in that. And so he was once discussing with one of our ISKCON sannyasis. And so the man was saying that how he did PhD in Gita Govind, and he practically knows so many pastimes of Radha and Krishna. Obviously, he has done PhD, he has to know. Others, how he can get PhD? So he said, I know so many pastimes, I know so many activities of Radha and Krishna. But my question to you is, so he's asking the ISKCON devotee, my question to you is that after hearing and reading all these activities of Radha and Krishna, how can you worship such a person as your supreme worshipable Lord? All glories to the PhD. So what has he understood? So anyway, our ISKCON sannyasi gave him a piece of good advice. So he told him that it's good you've done PhD, but it's also good to learn the ABCD first. So it's good if you can go through the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita first. Once Srila Prabhupada was giving an interview to one lady who was also doing some PhD on religious movements. And so at that time the Hare Krishna movement was flourishing, and so she thought it would be good to do an interview with the founder of the Hare Krishna movement. So she came to interview Srila Prabhupada, and she was asking various questions. So she began by asking, Swamiji, these days we find there are so many Indian gurus and swamis and yogis coming to the West. So what do you think will be the effect of these people on Western culture or American culture? Srila Prabhupada said, Western culture? What culture is that? So she was not getting proper answers. Srila Prabhupada was sort of giving a little funny answers to her questions. She was not getting anything substantial. So after some time, she said, she thought of slightly changing the topic. And she said, okay, Swamiji, now let us discuss something about your philosophy. And at that point, Srila Prabhupada really threw a big bomb. Srila Prabhupada made a very powerful statement. Srila Prabhupada said, philosophy without character has little or no value. Philosophy without character has little or no value. Otherwise, we find even Kamsa was speaking philosophy to whom? Yes, Vasudeva and Devaki, when he saw that the eighth child happened to be Durga. So he was really taken aback. He thought, it's very strange, even the gods cheat. So anyway, he became humbled by that. And then we see even Hiranyakashipu speaking great philosophy to his relatives. So there are many people who can speak. But then, if there is no character, it has little or no meaning. Srila Prabhupada gives an experience, his experience when he was at Allahabad, now Prayag, or previously also Prayag. So he says that once there was a Mayavad sannyasi who came, and thousands of people came to attend his class and his talk, and he gave a good talk, very powerful, quoting a lot of Shastric references. But at the end, after his talk was over, he came behind stage and he asked the organizers, where is BD? Cigarettes. So what's the use of such a talk? So therefore, the important point is that the real learning should make one humble, should result in development of good qualities, or otherwise, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, what is that? It's only Mayara Vaibhav. Jar Vidya Mayara Vaibhav. It only makes one gada. It only makes one into an ass. So, that is about learning. So, if one simply has this opulence of learning without connection to the Supreme, without the devotional aspects, only the learning, even it could be Shastric learning, but if there is no devotional aspect for the pleasure of the Lord, then even that could lead to pride. And then for opulences, we have the often told example of Indra. So much of opulence. And so he's so engrossed in his opulence. And therefore, for him to respect the Vaishnavas and practice proper devotional service becomes difficult. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, that when one has these opulences, vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidiyate. How does it start? How does the verse start? Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidiyate. Taya parita chetasam. Aparita chetasam. Yes. Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam. Taya aparita chetasam. Aparita chetasam. The consciousness is taken away by this bhoga and aishwarya, by the sense enjoyment and the opulences. Then the vyavasayatmika buddhi, the one-pointed determination to practice devotional service, cannot take place. And so we find Indra engrossed in a sense gratification in his opulences. When Brihaspati enters, he doesn't notice. And even if he has noticed, he thinks that anyway, Brihaspati keeps walking in and out every day. So what's so special? And so he fails to offer respects, and then Brihaspati understands that this person is going to land into a problem now. And he just walks out. He doesn't do anything, he doesn't say anything, he just walks out. But then, because of that disrespectful attitudes, due to his attachment to his bhog and aishwarya, his sattva reduces, his rajas and tamas increases, and he loses all his spiritual powers. And immediately the demons understand. That time communication system was so quick. We may be proud of communication system now, but those days it was so quick. As soon as Indra lost his powers, the demons understood and they attacked and they took over. And then we find later on, he again offends Durvasa Muni. Durvasa Muni mercifully gives him his Maha garlands. And Indra thinks, I keep getting these garlands, what's so special? And he gave the garland to his elephant Airavat. And what do elephants understand about Maha garlands? And so what did the elephant do? Threw it under his foot and crushed it. And again, he lost all his powers. So, this is what happens when one is too attached to one's wealth, to one's opulences. Again, we also have the example of Nalukuver and Manigriv, who disrespected Narad Muni because of their intoxication due to their high birth, their wealth, their opulence, and all these things. And so therefore, what is very important is that to recognize whatever opulence one has, in terms of beauty, there is this beautiful pastime in Krishna Leela of the Gandharva named as Sudarshan. You know this pastime? This Gandharva named as Sudarshan, who insulted some sages coming in the lineage of Angira Muni. And so those sages were not so beautiful. And this Gandharva, after all, is a Gandharva from the heavenly planet, so much of beauty and opulence. And so he laughed at them. And so the sages cursed him to become what? A huge serpent. You know, the past time on Shivratri night, all the Brajvasis had gone and they were taking a rest on the banks of the Yamuna. And then at night, this huge serpent came, and what he did?
Nanda Maharaj.
Yes, he swallowed up Nanda Maharaj. He was swallowing. And then he cried out to Krishna for help. Then Krishna came, put his lotus feet on this snake, and immediately the snake got transformed into this beautiful Gandharva. And then Krishna asked him, how did you become? Krishna knows everything, but still, for the benefit of all of us, he asked, how did you become this ugly snake from a beautiful Gandharva? And then he describes. Right. So in this way, so when one has opulences, there is every tendency to become proud, and one thinks, what's the need to take shelter of the Lord? I have everything for myself. I can figure out things on my own. I can manage things on my own. So one fails to understand that how one's position is actually so insignificant in this world. At the least expected moment, everything could be snatched away. And so to explain this principle, Srila Prabhupada told the story of Punar Mushika Bhava. Everyone knows the story? Punar Mushika Bhava. Again become mouse. So by the mercy of the sadhu, so we know how the mouse becomes a cat, the cat becomes dog, and finally the dog becomes tiger. So powerful. And when he became tiger, he was staring at the sadhu. He was not going away. So the sadhu said, now go into the forest. No. The tiger was staring. So he asked him, what do you want? Oh, you want to eat me? Oh, I see. Punar Mushika Bhava. Again become mouse. So Srila Prabhupada told the story to make this point, that yes, by the mercy of sadhus, by the mercy of Krishna, an insignificant person can become powerful, either individually or collectively. Individually one could become powerful, or collectively one could become powerful. Srila Prabhupada was referring to the United States of America, powerful nation. Or Srila Prabhupada also referred to the British Empire, very powerful once upon a time. So powerful and spread all over the world that they proudly proclaimed what? The sun never sets on the British Empire. And then Srila Prabhupada said, but now the sun never rises.
In London.
Yes, especially in London. And so when Srila Prabhupada went to London, and a newspaper reporter asked him, so Swamiji, what is your description of hell? How do you think hell looks like? So Srila Prabhupada said, you don't have to go anywhere to find out how is hell. Hell is here. Because it's always so cloudy and dark. So anyway, the point is that yes, so Srila Prabhupada says, so one could be so powerful, British Empire, Roman Empire, Mughal Empire, so many empires, but everything finished. So that is what could happen if one doesn't understand one's insignificant position and unnecessarily becomes proud. And of course, there are so many examples. When the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have example of Keshav Kashmiri, who was again a proud scholar, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, only 16 years old, totally humbled him. And there are so many others. So therefore, what's the solution? So the solution is, okay, let's hear something from you. What's the solution?
Chant Harinam constantly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suggests this.
Yes, okay. Okay, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Trunadapi Sunichena Tarorapi Saishnuna Amanina Manadina Kirtaniya Sadhari. So if you want to do Kirtaniya Sadhari, then you have to become humble.
Yes.
Then what comes first? Should we become humble to chant the holy names, or chant the holy names to become humble?
Both simultaneously.
Okay, so you have to give us some tips on how to do that. Okay, yes, Mother?
First of all, we need to understand the necessity of humility.
Yes, so what is the necessity? Yes, that's correct. So what's the necessity? Mm-hmm. Okay, to approach Krishna feelingly. Okay, fine.
Then the solution is to serve those who have that humility.
Serve those who have humility. Good. Yes, ma'am?
To remember, to know and then remember who is the controller and the proprietor.
Okay, yes. So that's the study of all this philosophy, to come to that understanding. Who is the actual controller, proprietor, bhoktaram, yagatapasam, sarvalokam, Maheshwaram? It's not me. Okay, something more? Okay, Mahat Sevan Dwaram Ahur Vimuktes Tamo Dwaram Yoshitam Sangi Sangam. Okay, serving the Mahats. Okay, fine, yes. Something else?
So first of all, I have to understand that my pride is becoming an impediment in my spiritual journey. Then when I realize that I really want to transform my life, then I should first take up some menial services. So that really I should understand that my position, and then slowly I can do.
Okay, good. Okay, so first of all, one should recognize the disease. If I don't recognize the disease, then there's no question of trying to find the medicine. Okay, and so the medicine that you're suggesting is menial services. But what's the definition of menial service?
Going out of my comfort zone, wherever I have some uncomfort, I should put myself in that uncomfortable zone and then try to see myself by acting on it, that how am I feeling. So slowly my pride will also.
Going to the uncomfortable zones. So what's the uncomfortable? So should we put off the fans now so that we get some discomfort? Your point is correct. Because many times devotees do give this answer, but what's a menial service? Because somebody could be sweeping the floor and thinking, just see, who is more humble than me?
There is the story of Prabhupada, somebody who wrote to Prabhupada and said, "You are most insignificant servant." And Prabhupada replied, "You are not most anything."
Correct. That's right. So yes, so that what you say is correct, but
But again, if I start thinking like that, then what's the point that I first realize that I have pride, so I want to get out of it.
yes,
And then again, if I start feeling like that, then nobody can help.
yes, that's correct. Yes, Matas.
It is advised to always be under the shelter of someone from whom we can accept chastisement and guidance.
Yes, so take shelter of someone who can help us come out of the disease, to come out of the pride. Okay, so first of all, okay, we won't get into those details, but I think so. At least, first of all, we should know what's the definition of humility. So, Srila Prabhupada has given a very precise definition in the 13th chapter, verses 8 to 12. Anybody knows?
Not being eager to hear one's glorification.
Okay. You're correct. A little more precise. So this is one of the most precise definitions of humility. Not being anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. This is the most precise definition of humility Srila Prabhupada has given. Not being anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. Because in conditioned life, where the satisfaction comes from? When others respect. When everyone is respecting, glorify, I feel, oh wow, that's so nice. Finally they've recognized me. And when others don't do that, it becomes a cause for great dissatisfaction. So therefore, the important point is, and to understand, and that's the whole purpose of studying all the philosophy is, as one of you have rightly said, to come to that understanding that, well, even if I'm able to do something, then I cannot take the credits. As Krishna himself says in the 7th chapter of the Gita, Balam balavatam chaham. So if somebody thinks I have strength to do something, I am the cause of the strength. Tejas tejas vinamaham. If I have some power, some teja, then I am only giving that. Buddhir buddhimatam asmi. If somebody thinks I have intelligence to do something, Krishna says, I give the intelligence. So what is mine? What is mine? Nothing. What ability do I have? What intelligence do I have to do anything? So when one realizes this, then one will understand that there is really no good reason to be proud of anything. As Srila Prabhupada says, there is no need to become proud of borrowed plumes. Everything is what? Borrowed from here and there. So what's there to be proud of? And so therefore, in order to come to this understanding and realization, serving the great souls, serving the acharyas is very, very important. So one thing is to gain the knowledge, that is one thing, jnanam. But then in order to get the vigyan, the realization of these spiritual truths, serving the great souls, the acharyas, is very, very important, so that they keep us level-headed when we go off track. And of course, there are so many pastimes of Srila Prabhupada where he did that with his disciples whenever he found some tinges of pride. And so therefore, serving under the guidance of the spiritual masters, that's a very important point. And in that association, one can derive that inspiration, one can see the mood and the qualities of these great souls. Just like we see in the case of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada depicted such extremes of humility as we see as he wrote his poem Markine Bhagavad Dharma. What is he writing? He's saying that I have this title Bhaktivedanta, but I have no bhakti, I have no knowledge of Vedas. So therefore, my dear Lord, you give me the words. I don't have the words. You give me the words by which I can transform the hearts of these people immersed in Rajagun and Tamogun. Nachao, nachao. Simply make me dance like a puppet in your hands. I cannot do anything. And how did he sign off that letter? Your most insignificant beggar. So even though so exalted, such an exalted Vaishnava, but he considered himself to be so insignificant. A beggar simply begging for the mercy of the Lord. Because that full realization that I don't have the ability. And we find the same principle in the lives of all the acharyas. Rupa Goswami. As he's writing the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, the 6th verse of the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, again he expresses the same feelings of inability to write. There Srila Prabhupada in Nectar of Devotion writes that this should be the mood of all the preachers of the Krishna Consciousness movement. They should simply think themselves as instruments in the hands of the previous acharyas. The same mood we find in the case of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, thinking himself to be totally helpless in his advanced age, simply depending on the mercy of the Vaishnavas. Right. So this is the mode of the acharyas. And so therefore, by studying the lives of the acharyas, by associating with advanced devotees and serving them, so that's how one can develop the same qualities, and that's how when one develops these qualities, when one attempts to develop these qualities, then one can attract the mercy of the Lord. Because Krishna is the greatest. If the conditioned soul also tries to become great, then as they say, the like poles of the magnet repel. Krishna is great. If I also try to become great, what will happen? Repulsion, no attraction. So therefore, theoretically, from the scriptures, one needs to understand one's own insignificant position and then try to realize these philosophical truths by humble service, with the right service attitude. Then these philosophical truths will become a reality, and one will be able to actually apply and practice these qualities. And thus, by that, one can attract the grace of Guru and Krishna. And then one can actually become proper instruments in the hands of the Supreme Lord to attract the conditioned souls to the path of Krishna consciousness. Thus, we have discussed today the causes of pride, the symptoms, the consequences of that, and what are some of the solutions with some Shastric examples. Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna. So, if Mataji would like to comment or add something, please.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This is a very dangerous pride. It's sometimes known as the fifth sinful activity. And it's such an important thing to contemplate pride, because it is pride which has brought down the entire fall of the Varnashram system, the entire fall of societies. And pride is said to be a bad quality which is particularly bad in Brahmanas. Brahmanas have a tendency, of course everyone has a tendency to become proud, but when pride comes in the Brahmanas, which in ISKCON we are trying to develop Brahmanas, Vaishnavas, so it is very, very negative, it is very, very detrimental. As we said, it is born from ignorance, from the bodily concept of life. Identifying oneself with being a Brahmin, with being an elevated soul, an elevated person, and therefore seeing all others as inferior. So, the definition of a Brahmana, one definition is that Prabhupada gave, is one who knows the Brahman. One who knows the Brahman, one who knows himself as a soul. He is actually a Brahmana. So, as soon as a Brahmana accepts honor and thinks in that way of being a Brahmana, meaning that the body, he identifies with the body, then immediately he is no longer a Brahmana. As soon as there is pride in the Brahmin is no longer a Brahmana actually. The fall is already there. It is done. Because the Brahmana is one who is prideless due to identifying himself as the insignificant little spark at the lotus feet of Krishna. So as soon as we forget that, then our whole status is gone. And Brahmana is also one who teaches by example. So everything is ruined by pride. It is said that all the different varnas, they have their different faults. The Kshatriyas, they have the tendency to control, which is, it's good for them because that's, but they must use it to protect. As soon as they use control to oppress, they're done. And similarly, the Vaishyas, they're very calculative and very fruitive. And the Shudras, well, in one sense, they are in good position. They are ignorant, so it's not good, but at least because of their lower position, they are forced to bend. And so they are forced to serve, and so that service can save them. So we have to be very careful as devotees that this horrible poisonous thing does not stay with us, because it is really, it ruins everything. So that's what I can add, that this pride it is said pride precedes fall. And very, very dangerous. If we want to be a good devotee of Krishna, we have to be very much aware of this demoniac influence of pride. And in this age of Kali, the whole society is about pride and prestige. So it's difficult sometimes to be humble. It's difficult. Even in the society where we live, there is a tendency to praise, to honor, to distinguish people. There's natural distinctions which are there. And this is all very dangerous for the life of a true Buddha. And one should not expect, as we heard, that we should be free from the desire to be honored by others. And it's difficult. It's definitely difficult. There is always something in the heart that feels like, oh, and somehow it is difficult not to be honored. But it is a practice that we have to remain satisfied. Know that as we know we are here, our desire is to be noticed by Krishna, not noticed by others.
Thank you, Vamsi. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Oh.
The question is that pride internal or external quality?
What do you mean internal?
Like some qualities we can detect externally,
Mm-hmm.
for example, and something else maybe. But some qualities we can, or even tolerance in one sense, externally we can see. But what about the pride? If we do the, let's say, pride is opposite to humility, and the humility is definition eagerness not to be, so that eagerness is like internal thing. But often we try to see, like detect the pride either in ourselves or others by external means. Like if someone does like this, means it's humble. Of course, the etiquette is there as well, but actually, to the deep sense, what is it really? Because sometimes we see from devotees, they say that pride, or so humility means that one's full dependence on Krishna, and now we can even holy name only. So how does somebody know if other person has that full dependence, or know by which external symptoms it can be revealed? So that's why I want to ask, is the pride more external or internal quality?
Good question. Just like we find Srila Prabhupada He was blasting all the scientists and modern day educationists and all these people, calling them fools, rascals. So somebody may say, was Srila Prabhupada humble? And Prabhupada was speaking so forcefully, so boldly. So a common person hearing Srila Prabhupada may say, it appears this Swamiji has no humility at all. So therefore, the humility, pridelessness is not simply an external manifestation. And therefore, that definition which Srila Prabhupada has given is most precise. Not being anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So Srila Prabhupada was doing all this bold preaching, and externally it may appear to be lack of humility. But why was Srila Prabhupada doing it? 100% he was simply acting as an instrument of his Guru Maharaj and the previous Acharyas. And he didn't take any credit for it. How do we know that? He was not expecting any credit. Not expecting credit means not expecting honor. Correct? And how do we know that? Srila Prabhupada is giving all credit at so many times. Srila Prabhupada is giving credit to whom? To his spiritual master and even to his disciples. And we know, maybe some of us have heard that famous lecture which Srila Prabhupada gave on Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's disappearance day, where Srila Prabhupada, almost towards the end of his talk, Srila Prabhupada said to his disciples, all of you are representatives of my Guru Maharaj because you're helping me carrying out his mission, his orders. And then Srila Prabhupada, his voice choked, he began to cry. He actually felt, he actually 100% was convinced that it is his disciples who are helping him. Though we know Srila Prabhupada was empowering them to do. Without his mercy, they would not have been. But that's how Srila Prabhupada genuinely felt. So definitely, it's an internal quality which may not always be depicted externally, but then even externally it will come out sometime. But on the other hand, somebody could make a good show externally, but yet not have it internally. So therefore, ultimately, whether one is actually humble or not will definitely be tested at some point of time. Whether one is actually having it or one is simply making a show. So when will it be tested or how will it be tested, we do not know. But then, when one does not get the honor and respect, then how one reciprocates, how one responds to that, that will be the test. And so therefore, ultimately, of course, these qualities are internal, and in certain situations, definitely they will be exhibited externally. But ultimately, of course, it's the attitude, the consciousness that's most important. As Srila Prabhupada has again written that famous statement right in the preface to the Nectar of Instruction. The progress of a devotee in Krishna consciousness depends upon the attitude of the follower. And so attitude is definitely something which is internal. At the same time, of course, it also manifests externally. Does it answer the question? Any other question, or I think so it's time?
So because of some past life impression and upbringing, some naturally possess this humility. This is very natural for someone. But someone really struggles. And when someone has this pride, one don't even realize that I have pride. So that person can help self that how is it possible to get out of this pride when I don't even realize that I have this pride? And the other point that we should, I also want to understand that when we take somebody as a mentor in our life, then we get feedback, and those feedbacks help us to overcome from this pride. But it's a natural tendency that we like to take appreciation, but when we hear some negative feedback, it doesn't give us a good feeling. So how to raise these natural tendencies from negative to positive? Who can help?
Okay, a good question. So as we were discussing, that one of the important ways to develop these qualities is to serve the Vaishnavas, serve some senior Vaishnav. And as you rightly pointed out, so while rendering that service to the Vaishnav, then one is likely to get some feedback. And when we ask, and sometimes we may even ask for feedback, but very often when we ask for feedback from another devotee, what are we expecting? Yes, we usually expect only appreciation. Because it's natural that we don't like to hear that I have done something wrong, I need to improve, because everyone likes to be in their comfort zone. Right? Leave me alone, I'm very good. And so therefore, as you rightly pointed out, first of all, one has to detect the disease, but detecting the disease is not so easy. Why? Because I commit a mistake due to the influence of Rajagun. See, all these qualities, whether it is pride or anger or envy, all of these are due to influence of lower modes, Rajagun and Tamagun. So when one is influenced by the lower modes, one's intelligence also gets covered by the lower modes. And therefore it becomes very difficult to understand, to detect. Srila Prabhupada gives the example, just like if I'm wearing yellow colored glasses, what will happen? Everything will look yellow. So now if somebody says, no, this is not yellow, this is brown, what will I say? No, it's yellow. And I'm convinced about it, that it's yellow. Why? Because I'm wearing the yellow colored glasses. So then if I want to know that this is not yellow, how will I know? Yes, take off the glasses, but taking off the glasses in the analogy is not so easy. Because in the analogy, taking off the glasses means what? Coming to sattva, right? And that takes time. But there is one more way in order to understand the right color. What's that? Yes. Find out from a person who does not have the glasses, yellow colored glasses. So if you find out from a person who's not wearing the yellow colored glasses and he tells that it's not yellow, then at that point what I should do? Yes. I have to have faith in that person. If I have faith in that person, then he says, no, this is not yellow, I accept it. That is the only way. Therefore, the association of devotees, the guidance of a spiritual master is considered to be so important. Because there is no other way. On my own, it is very difficult to detect my own faults. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada says that a writer should not edit his own books. Very difficult to find out one's own mistakes. So therefore, the guidance of senior Vaishnavas is very important. And then we should have that faith and be able to accept what they're saying, and take it in the right spirit, make the changes. So that's the only way one can.
Thank you, Prabhuji. The point is like, we may render services for exalted devotees, but unless we don't approach them, they don't simply give us feedback. We have to personally approach and inform them, please help me, giving some feedbacks time to time. And so this is ultimately our own endeavor, and we have to like take that step. Nobody can help us. This is what all I understood.
That's true. That's true.
Thank you.
So I should be definitely open to try to improve. Then one will get the help both externally and internally. All right? Okay, I think that's time. Should we have?
I have a question. It's from the answer that you gave. It's off the topic, then you don't need to answer. This faith that we talk on.
Okay, you can give.
This faith that we talk about on other devotees. I was actually pondering about it last month that is it that we are only able to build our faith on Krishna when we are working on building our faith on the devotees? Could you comment on that?
Okay. This is a very often asked question actually in the community of devotees. Because on one hand, we say that we need to have faith on devotees because ultimately it's devotees who are going to help us make progress. But at the same time, having faith on devotees, that itself becomes a challenge. Because Srila Prabhupada has written in 1.1.10 purport, these are symptoms of Kali Yuga. Srila Prabhupada has written, in Kali Yuga, the entire atmosphere is surcharged. This is the word Prabhupada has used. Surcharged with faithlessness. Because people have such bad experiences dealing with others, where everyone has a cheating propensity. So to put faith on someone becomes very difficult, very challenging. And that's what we find. Even amongst family members, there's no faith these days. That's the situation. And so therefore, what is very important is that the process needs to be followed. Because who has given this process of taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, approaching him for guidance? Who has given the process? Tad vidhi pranipatena, who has said this? Yes, Krishna himself has said. So therefore, there is no alternative to the process. The process has to be followed. The process has to be followed. And so therefore, how to develop faith becomes the next question. I need to accept someone who can guide me. That process definitely has to be followed. But then in order to build up that faith, then what is important is not only to see that person as an individual, but to see the connection with the parampara and ultimately with Krishna. So we don't see that devotee from whom I'm taking guidance as one separate individual, but to see him in connection with the entire parampara and to see him as a representative of Krishna. And so therefore, when Srila Prabhupada was asked, are you perfect? What was Prabhupada's answer? You never heard this past time? When Srila Prabhupada was asked, are you perfect? By report of someone. What was Prabhupada's answer? Srila Prabhupada said, no, I may not be perfect, but the message I'm speaking is perfect because it is coming from the perfect source. So therefore, an individual devotee may have some faults, but then because he's rightly connected in parampara, as long as he's properly following, then we understand he's connected. Then he will be able to help us on the spiritual platform. And if I am sincere, then Krishna can speak through that person. Because I am sincerely following Krishna's process, therefore, this individual may or may not be fully perfect. But because I am sincerely trying to follow the process, then Krishna can give guidance through this person. And therefore, our faith is in Krishna's process, the Acharya's process. And as long as I'm sincerely trying to follow that, then Krishna can help through that person. or through any person for that matter. Does it help? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samved Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you very much for this opportunity to render this small service. Hare Krishna.